Michael, it's been a disappointing international break in terms of the injury to Harry Souttar. But how has the fitness been with the players that you've been working with, like Sawyers, Campbell, Seamer, and Fox? And how's training gone, given that you've had a 5-day lead-in for this next match, even though it's a 3-game week?
Yeah, I mean, we've first of all, the most important thing was to give the players a little bit of recovery time between after the Luton game, which they got last week. We only trained 3 days in that break, so they got the necessary break. Particularly those that have played a lot, those who are come back from injury, worked predominantly with the medical team. And then this week we've had a full lead in, a 5-day lead into the game, which is something which is very rare in the Championship. So we've enjoyed that. Although you're a little bit short in numbers because obviously Joe and hasn't been back in until Thursday, and so Adam Davis and some of the other international players who were away have that scenario as well. So yeah, I don't think we need it really to work on the fitness. Really, I think we're working on really trying to get players back and working on the structure and the shape of the team as much as anything else. And but unfortunately, we don't really have any positive news in terms of the injury front. Obviously, we've lost Harry. Seema's still with the medical team. Lucas is still with the medical team. Powell's with the medical team, and Jordan Thompson obviously had to miss the Northern Ireland doubleheader because of a knee problem, so he'll not be available for us tomorrow. And Alfie Doughty has just trained the last couple of days, so we just need to see. It's probably a little bit soon for Alfie whether we would push him into the matchday squad as soon as that, given the nature of his injury. But we'll just assess that overnight. What about
Tashan Oakley-Booth and Morgan Fox?
Morgan's been back training. Yeah, he's trained this obviously right through the 2 weeks. Tashan has been back training as well. So yeah, they're both back in training. I would say Morgan is probably a little bit, maybe in terms of starting the game, is probably not ready because he's not played. We've not had the benefit of playing him, for example, in the 23 game, and we may not get that luxury. But certainly, I think both players will come under consideration to be involved in the game.
And as for Harry Souttar, obviously everybody's devastated about the injury, but the most important thing now is for the club medical staff, yourself and all the team at the club to rally round and help with his recovery.
Yeah, look, Harry, obviously we got the news last Thursday, I think, the time difference that, it was a significant injury. We didn't really know the exact extent of it, but we the fear was that he had done his ACL. The news we got on scanning that confirmed that. He then came back here. He was back with us on Monday. We sent him to London, obviously, for further review of that, further observation in terms of the scan. And we got the worst news, which is obviously that it is an ACL injury, and that obviously he'll go under surgery in the next, I think, before the end of November. He'll have his surgery for that, and then he'll go into a long rehabilitation process, which is never easy for a player, but I think he'll get great support here from the medical team. He'll get great support, I think, from his teammates as well, and obviously, from his own family. His own brother has had gone through a lengthy period of injury and has come out the other side of that, and obviously scored for his country against Denmark. So, I think that was a real positive, and for Harry to see that will obviously have, he'll take a lot of heart from that as well.
On to Peterborough then. Their away form hasn't been great. They've only won once away to Hull, but the last time out they narrowly lost to Fulham at home. What are you expecting from this Peterborough side tomorrow?
I think with all the teams that come up, you do face the same thing. We've faced it recently with Blackpool. They sometimes go through little, periods of positivity and good results. We played Blackpool at a time when it was good for them, so we had to deal with, their attitude towards the game. They were in a good place. Their endeavour, their enthusiasm for the game, and like anything, you get a lot of these players who this is their first time playing in the Championship, so they have a lot to prove, and they want to prove that not only as a team but individually. So I think you always face a highly motivated team. I think in Peterborough we'll face a well-organised team as well. Darren Ferguson's a very experienced manager, and he's been in the Championship before. So yeah, we know what to expect, and we know that, like all games in the Championship, if you're down a gear or two, then it can be very difficult. So we're making sure that won't be the case.
You've had good back-to-back away wins with much better game management in the last 2 matches. Obviously, you're now going to need to look at replacing Harry Souttar, but that's an area that you're well stocked in.
Yeah, I mean, when we put the squad together, and like we made quite an early decision that we felt to play with 3 at the back was something that we felt we would try and be consistent with this season. Sometimes it's forced upon you. Sometimes injuries determine that you have to change your shape. But we signed basically 6 centre. Well, we have 6 centre backs if you include Morgan on that, because he's a left-sided full back, but he can also play as a left-sided centre back. And we worked very hard on it in pre-season. So we knew that, if we get a situation as we have with Harry, that we have cover, with very experienced players in James Chester and Danny Batt. We've obviously the younger players in Ben Wilmot and Leo Ostigard, who are both only 21. And then we've Morgan on the way back. So we can cope with the injury. There's no doubt about that. And the opportunity presents itself, particularly, Danny's maybe missed out quite a bit this season. So, as I say, one player's unfortunate situation obviously presents an opportunity for other players. And I think, as I say, we're covered, and we'll see how that goes between now and January, and then we'll assess the situation again then.
Do you see the loss of Harry changing maybe the style of play? By that, I mean, he's possibly your best ball-playing defender. Do you think you may have to change the style of play? I'm not going to say to hoofball, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think we maybe have to look at how we build the game. We've talked about that, and we've been through that with the players. But I think, we've been consistent with the message. We've never wanted to be a team that just plays the ball long and feeds off second ball. We don't have the attacking players. We don't have a 6'4" striker who wins loads of headers. So we have to adapt to that. But yeah, we maybe will assess how we build the game at times. But ultimately, we work very hard, and the players who have come in will work very hard and on how they build the game and their distribution as well. So we'll maybe tweak things, but I don't think we'll see a complete change. And obviously, I know we won't see a complete change in how we approach things.
There's 3 more games before all the cards are wiped, and I think it's fair to say you might have to be careful defensively, because Ostigard and Wilmot are already on 4 cards. I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, that's correct. I thought it was 2 more games actually, but I might be wrong. I'll check with Chris Laird on that. Or I did check this morning. I think he said 2 games, but
well, that's great. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So look, if we can get through the first phase, get to 5 bookings and not have picked up a suspension, I think that's a good thing. We've picked up probably a little bit too many bookings in the last 2 games, and there's game management, and there's also I think some of those bookings, had we been the home team, for example, wouldn't have occurred. Sometimes the reaction of the away fans can lead to frustration from them. We were at times managing the game, maybe killing the game a little bit, and the referee reacts to that, and subsequently we've picked up bookings. But yeah, we just got to get through. I mean, those are things the players are aware of. They have to make sure that they're disciplined, that they're only booked in very, very necessary circumstances, and how they deal with how they get against people and defend it's very important.
Finally, you've given youth a push since you've been at the football club, but you must be really pleased that players like Connor Taylor has been given the Young EFL Player for October, and now Tommy Simpkins got an England cap, but also been recognised as one of the most improved players. So it all bodes well for the future. Yeah,
look, we've had young Tommy Simpkin up training with us when the opportunity arises. So it's really good as a young goalkeeper that, first of all, he's getting to work with the first team goalkeeping coach, and David Rouse is very aware of him, and he's working obviously with Bursick and Davis and Bonham, which I think will develop any young goalkeeper, just that environment. And so it's delighted for him to obviously see him play for England and as you say, get the recognition that he had. And Connor obviously has done very well down at Bristol Rovers on loan. We were aware of the progress he's been making. He's been playing obviously week in, week out, and that's a big part in his development. So he just needs to continue with that and continue, as I say, so that when he comes back to Stoke, that, whenever that may be, that, he's closer to our first team squad.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks,
George.
Michael, obviously, as you say, you come up against Peterborough, an experienced manager. He's been there. He's had two spells there, Darren Ferguson, and obviously in between. And he'll be looking to continue the success he enjoyed on both occasions, won't he?
Yeah, of course. I think, and the Championship is a tough league for any League One club when they get promoted. I don't, Peterborough have been there before, and they've had that period of, getting promoted and going back down again into League One, so that, they've got themselves there again. League One's not an easy league to get out of. You can see that with the clubs like Sunderland, who I think now in their fourth season, and that's the nature of the league, and any of these leagues are very difficult to get out of. But look, we expect a tough game. We're under no illusions about that, and as you say, Darren's a very experienced manager in the EFL, and so we know that we'll face a team which is well prepared to come and give us a stern test.
Do you see any changes in the way he might be setting up from when he was in the Championship previously to when he's returned with Peterborough now?
Not really. We wouldn't look that far back, to be honest, because essentially it's a different group of players and it's a different time from when he was at the club. So I think we've obviously seen how they play tactically this season. We know that they've changed shape, and sometimes they change shape in game as well. So we're well aware of that. And we've focused predominantly on obviously how they've looked since they've come back into the league this season.
And for yourself, obviously you had the 2-week break. I mean, has it been beneficial? Because you've just already alluded to that there are one or two still players who are going to be out long term, but one or two that have picked up niggling injuries as well, which you've alluded to, Jordan Thompson. Has it been beneficial, Michael?
Well, it's beneficial in the fact that we've not had any games in the period that those players have been injured, so they've not missed games in that 2 week. But I think it's been beneficial for the players who have played more than anything else, because they get a little bit of a break. When you're asking players to play every 3 days, as we pretty much have been since the start of the season, I think there's a mental sometimes as much as a physical tiredness there. So the break for them is good. And, as I say, we've had a full week's work leading into this game. Unfortunately, it hasn't helped us from the injury front, because obviously in the international break, Thompson and Souttar have both become unavailable to us, and the players who are going into the international break injured, Lucas Powell, Seema in particular, are still not back training with the first team squad yet, and Alfie Doughty's just joined in the last day or two, so it's still very early in him. Probably the one who's benefited most from it is Morgan Fox, because obviously we've been able to get a lot of work into Morgan, and he's a lot closer to a first team return.
But thankfully, you haven't got to the international break until the turn of the year, have you now? And you must welcome that. But on top of that, the games are coming very quick on top of each other, Michael, now, aren't you?
Well, this is the last of the midweek games, which is I think we'll welcome that, because once we come into the December programme, we pretty much play Saturday. We have a Sunday game in there, I think, at QPR as well. But what we get is a longer preparation time, a longer recovery time, and I think in that period, hopefully, we'll not maybe be as at the same risk of injury, because the players are not playing in a state of fatigue and as well, and muscle injuries typically arise because of that. And we just got to make sure that it'll give us the opportunity to work in the team in that period as well. But that's why I think after any international break, the first game is very, very important. And this is the start of obviously a 3-game week. And if we can come out of this in good shape, then, I think we can enjoy December, because we'll have a little bit more time in between games.
Finally, for me, you've just already alluded to your probably review of the situation in January, but have you got maybe things on mind in targets, so you might, with the sustained injury of long term?
Look, you always have to look at your scenario of what you may or may not do in January, what is possible, first of all, because of the finances of the club and what we're capable of doing because of the rules that are in place in the Championship, and equally, what we feel we need as a squad as well. And So I think that's a constant process that we don't just visit it coming into January. So we're well aware of where we would like to do things, but it may not be possible for us to do that. But we're certainly reviewing all aspects of the team, and we know that, you know, if we're able to do things that improve us in January, then that'll be a real bonus for the second half of the season.